Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Amanda and today we are here to face our art fears. I think that a lot of artists have fears surrounding art and I personally don't understand it because why do we have fear about art? There are materials that we can use. They are things that we can learn from. I just don't get how we have this fear, but I am here to admit that I have one too. And if you watched my how to fill a sketchbook video, you'll probably know this already. And if you want to go and check that out, you should. I'll leave an iCard up there. And the fear is single sheets of paper. This. I am scared of this, and it's not because I'm going to get a paper cut. It's because it's expensive and I don't want to ruin it with my bad art. But I know for a fact that I can make good art, and even if I couldn't, the only way to make good art on this is to practice using it. And I have plenty of other sheets that I can use. So we're just going to dive in, talk about why we have these art fears and how to get over them, and talk about what other people's art fears are and how maybe you could get over those. So these are just going to be my opinions, Some people might not agree with the things that I say in this video, but I hope that it helps somebody and I hope that you feel motivated enough to try and conquer your art fear too. If you have one, let me know in the comments below what it is, and if you did have one but don't now, then tell me how you overcame it. And let's get started. Okay, so here I am doing the painting. I am using the Arches watercolour paper and Winsor & Newton and Daniel Smith watercolours. I'm also using some Artful, Daler Rooney and silver velvet, black velvet, whatever you call them, brushes. And then later on I also use some Winsor & Newton gouache as well. So that's what I'm using, and the reference photo I found, you guessed it, is from Unsplash. I'll link it in the description below if you want to have a wee look-see at that. So let's talk about art fears, because that's what we're here for, right? They're very common, so I don't think anybody should feel ashamed that they are scared of something. And there are a few reasons why people could be scared to do something in art. I think I've got 3 that I want to talk about. So there maybe is the fact that it's too expensive, they're scared of failure, or they're scared to waste their supplies. So basically, artists, especially in the beginning, don't really make a lot of money with art, so it's valid to be hesitant to use supplies that are expensive. And even if you think your art is good enough for expensive supplies, you still have to replace it. So you have to spend money regardless. And it's a bit of a scary thing because you might not have enough money to replace it. And one of the solutions that I have for you, I don't know if there is another solution really, is to sell your artwork, either originals or prints of your art. And there's multiple ways to do this. You can do it in person, in real life. You can do it on Facebook and Instagram, social media, or you can open an Etsy shop or a website where you sell the stuff online. And it is a hard game. I've been trying to sell my artwork for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, and it is really hard to get people to want to buy your stuff, but it does give you a little bit extra money on the side that you can put away and invest back into your supplies again. And I think that that's a good way to build your art business. If you don't have any qualifications or you don't want to work for a studio or something like that, then obviously having your own business is a very good way to go, but it is hard work and there's a lot more that goes into it than just making art, but it will reimburse you for your efforts and your money spent. So the other reason that I mentioned was failure and people being scared of failing. And if money isn't the issue here, then obviously practicing on a cheaper bit of paper would be a good solution to that. Use less expensive supplies before your final product so that you can feel more confident going into it. Even if you just get a little bit of paper, like a scrap piece of paper, and do some thumbnails, concepts, colour studies. Maybe if you have a digital tablet, you could do colour studies on there, maybe think about what kind of effects you want and stuff like that, and then you're not really spending any money. And if money is an issue, then this might be a little bit harder, but you can get supplies that are way less expensive, and maybe just give yourself a confidence boost. Look back on your old art and say, I can make art. This is easy. It's not easy, but you know what I mean? Just make sure that you are always boosting yourself up, and you know, failure's going to happen. It's going to happen, but you will learn from it. And that brings me into the waste category. Basically, nothing's a waste. If you have painted something and you have figured out that you don't like it, ask yourself why you don't like it. You'll end up learning a lot from it, and your next painting could be even better because then you'll not make the same mistakes and you can increase your skills by learning, because doing is a lot easier to learn that way than just watching a bunch of people make art. Because if you watch somebody make art, you're like, oh, I can do that, that's quite easy, and then you come to do it and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't as easy as they made it look. They've been practicing for years and years and years, and they are not on the same skill level as you, so they might make it look easier than it is. So yes, practicing physically is a good way to do it. So I want to talk about my fear just a little bit. So I actually used to paint on single pieces of paper quite a lot when I was younger, because I didn't actually know what a sketchbook was until 2015. Like I had no idea. The only paper that I used to draw on was printer paper. I had graphite pencils, maybe a little set of like different graphite pencils, and that's all I used was graphite pencils and printer paper. So I didn't know that watercolor paper existed. I did go to school and use more expensive supplies, but I think with my memory and like, I don't know, I wasn't smart enough to click that maybe I could buy these papers. I thought they were exclusive to the school or something. I don't know what I thought, I can't remember, but I didn't know that sketchbooks existed. And I think that that's where the issue came, is in 2015. Well, actually, it wasn't really 2015, because I started using art supplies more in 2015. I came back to art after a big break in 2015, and I started with Singular paper, but it was really cheap paper. And then the more I educated myself on it, the more paper I got that was more expensive. So I don't know what I'm talking about basically, but the issue came from sketchbooks, I believe, because once I found out about sketchbooks, I loved them, and they're so convenient and they're so much cheaper than buying dearer art supplies. But saying that, you could buy a sketchbook for £15 and you could buy an Archie's pad for £15 too, so it's the same price, and you get roughly about the same amount of paintings in them anyway, or even more, because you can cut up the paper. But I don't know, I just felt like I like my paintings being all in one book, and it's less pressure. It doesn't feel as bad to draw in sketchbooks. But then again, I feel like I'm always doing quick sketches in sketchbooks. Even though I spend 2 to 3 hours on a painting in a sketchbook, I feel like I need to spend more, and the way to spend more time on paintings is to get more expensive art supplies, but also draw bigger, because I'm only doing an A5 painting here, and it took me just about the same amount of time as it does in my sketchbook. So obviously I just like that style, or I just don't know how to get more detail out of it. So drawing bigger, more detail would obviously help that a bit. And I just want to talk about Archies for a minute here, because this is the first time I've used it in a long time. I think the last time I used it was in like 2018 maybe. It was right before I moved, so I bought a Archie's watercolor paper and I used it, and I wasn't that impressed because it buckled a bit and it didn't, I don't know, I didn't like it. But I think most of it that came from me not knowing exactly how to use watercolor paper or watercolors themselves. So I feel like it wasn't a fair judgment on the Archies to be like, I don't like this paper, this sucks. But now I feel like I can get the same effects and the same result with cheaper papers. And most of the papers these days are acid free, most of them are archival, most of them are really high quality, but they're just cheaper and they're just different. Like Archies do take a lot of layers, and they do take a lot of scrubbing and abuse, but I feel like you could get the same results with other papers as well if you're just a little bit more careful, I guess. The big thing is the texture. Archie's cold press textured paper is one of a kind, I think. It's cold pressed, but it's not too textured, so you can get smooth work on it, but it's also textured enough where you can get the nice bumpy textures, like on the road. If you can see where I'm doing now, you can see little dry brush strokes, and that's a lot to do with the paper as well. But my feelings now about single sheets is that yes, the results aren't any better than my sketchbooks. Like, I think that if I drew this or painted this in my sketchbook, it would come out just about the same, and I don't think that there's any difference. But there is benefits to using single sheets rather than being in a sketchbook. So the first one would be the ability to sell at a higher price because it's more expensive paper. So if you were to print prints on this paper, then you can bump up your prices. And if you were to sell originals, you can bump up your prices because it's more, like, it's higher quality paper. But I am a little bit unsure on how to price my original paintings. I don't know how to do that. And but this is a good opportunity for me to explore that. And I think I might sell this on my Etsy page. So if you want to buy it, keep your eyes peeled. I've got a lot of plans for my shop coming this year, so I don't know where I'm going to stick it in, but I might do a little original update and try and sell off some of my old originals as well, if you are interested in that. Obviously, my older originals will be less expensive because they're older and my skills weren't as high back then. But yeah, I'm really excited to explore. So yeah, the difference between sketchbooks and singular use paper is basically it's just easier to sell it because you don't have to cut it out of a sketchbook. It doesn't have to be limited to a print. You can sell the original quite easily. But I'm really excited to make more. So I'm also really curious about what other fears people have. And I think that we should open a little discussion in the comments below, and if any of them are relatable to me or if I have any opinions on them, I might make a video about that too. And my last thing that I want to say is that the painting, I want to talk about the painting. Basically, I did miss a little bit of the road and I added a car and then took it away. That's all I want to say about it. I think it came out good. I'm really proud of it. I really like it. It's hanging up on my pin board right now and it looks really good. And I enjoyed it so much. And in fact, we've got a little bit more time, so I just want to talk about another little fear of mine. And it's not really, well, it is art related, but it's to do with YouTube, because I am really scared of making art that I'm bad at, because I like to film my art journey. And I feel like I'm scared to draw badly on YouTube. I feel like I don't want to do that, which is weird because I want to show my journey, and part of my journey is learning something that I'm bad at. But I just feel like people won't want to follow me if I post bad art, because a lot of the YouTubers that I see that are artists are just really good at art and they do really good things, and a lot of them are sort of niched, like they only work on certain subjects and in certain mediums, so they are really well versed in their subjects and mediums, whereas I'm not. Here I am. I'm putting in the little car. I took it out. It looked so weird. It just stood out far too much. I think it was because it was bright white. I maybe should have made it a little bit more grey or changed the colour. But yeah, those are my art fears. If you have any art fears, like I said, comment them in the comment section below, and like this video if you liked it. Give me any opinions on what I said today and whether you have any things to say about it. Look, I'm getting better at peeling. This is another good thing about single-use sheets, is that I can just peel it off so much easier and it doesn't move. Cool. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please remember to give it a thumbs up and put the notification bell on as well if you want to get notified of all the videos that I post. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.